In this unit, we're going to make a side-scrolling platformer game along the lines of those you'd see in like the old classic Mario games. And so we're gonna develop some new skills in here. One of them is going to be some advanced collision resolution, because now we're going to have platforms and other that we can hit from multiple angles, and items to collect and things like that. We're also going to look at using a grid system to create maps and do level design for our game. Because our player is going to be jumping now, we're going to have to learn how to incorporate physics and gravity into our game. And I wanted to be able to design multiple levels and do it in a clean way that doesn't really mess up our code or make our code any more complex than it has to be. So we're going to look at using a format called JSON to store our level information in separate files. And we'll look at animating our sprites. And finally, this project is going to be more complex than a lot of the ones we've done in the past. So we are going to have to pay a little extra attention to project organization. So let's go ahead and get the template to get started. And so this is just so if you want to get the template, you can click the link and go right here and download it. And then you'll get a zip archive with the code and some assets. And that way we won't have to type out, like a basic Pygame framework from scratch. So I have already downloaded the game or the starter code here. So let's just go take a look at what's there. All right. So here I'm in my extracted starter code folder. And the first thing I have is my game. And there is not much here. This is just a basic Pygame template. I've got my window settings, and I create the window, define a few colors. I haven't done it yet, but I've left myself some places, just comments so I stay organized, where I'm going to load my fonts and images and sounds. We're going to have to make some classes for the game. And then I've got a basic game loop here. All right, nothing out of the ordinary. I've got a place to deal with the input. Eventually we'll put some game logic in here and the drawing code, and then just normal stuff where I would start basically any Pygame project from. And so when you run this, right, all we get right now is just a blue window. Okay, so let's get into the assets. And we are going to have a lot of different files for this. So I have taken my assets folder and I've organized it in subfolders. So I've got a fonts folder, which, so any other fonts I'm going to use, I'll include them in this folder as well. I have an images folder, and this one, because I'm anticipating dozens of images in my finished game, I decided to subdivide this a little bit more. And so I've got my characters, and you can see this is going to be the main character, the little hero for my game here. And we've got different animations, like different images, so we can animate them. I'm going to have these enemies. So this enemy is just going to be something that kind of spins and rolls towards you. We could probably find more interesting enemies later. Items that we might want to get in the game. So we've got different little things we might want to pick up. And the game is going to be tile-based. And so these are just a few things that I thought I'd use to to design some of our basic levels, right? So all right. And then last, or say, I've got a levels folder. Right now, this is empty. But eventually, when we design levels, we're just going to make text files over here that'll hold all the level information. So I don't have any music yet. And I did put in a few basic sound effects for when we gather items, jump, and stuff like that. So, all right. The other thing I did in here, and I highly recommend you do this, you keep up with this file as you work on the project and deviate from what I'm doing in the tutorials, but I have listed the sources of all of my assets here and a link to where I can get them. I only took a small subset of all of the artwork from this platformer pack that I got from this Kenny.nl site. But if I want to go get more, it's nice that I can get directly there rather than having to Google and find my way around. And this is where I got my fonts and This is where I got my sounds. And so if you were adding additional assets to the game, I highly recommend that you add your links to this. One, it'll just help you as you're writing code, and then two, eventually if we decide to distribute the game, it's going to be nice to have a list of where we got everything that we didn't create on our own, so that we can provide proper attribution. All right, so that's the template. And in the next video, we will go ahead and get started by adding some platforms and blocks and the character to our game. All right, if you have any questions, let me know.